To Landry Walker against Helen Cox this Thursday night. We certainly look forward to seeing just how they're able to function in that game. I'm sure they'll be quite fine. And today, as you notice, if you come all the time, we have a different format. It's a chance to do something different once, so we're going to do that today. We'll have a panel of people up here that will be speaking on a number of topics, which we'll get into here shortly. That's why the seats are the way they are and structured the way they are. You'll have a chance to ask questions as well when that takes place. So we look forward to giving that a shot, and I think you'll enjoy the opportunity to talk to the gentleman that we have here today. As we do so, what I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to introduce those individuals and ask them to come forward and take a seat. First up, he's a native New Orleanian who lived in Mandeville until he was 7. Joined the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com in 2016 after working for the Detroit News, where he covered the Detroit Lions. He previously worked in sports for the Minnesota Daily and Minnesota Star Tribune. He's a graduate of the University of Minnesota. Please give a warm Quarterback Club welcome to Josh Katzenstein of the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com. Josh, come on. Next up, he played baseball at De La Salle, was the team captain at Loyola. He's been at WDSU TV since 2002, serving as sports director for several years. He's won numerous awards for Best Sportscaster from the Press Club of New Orleans and the Louisiana Associated Press. He was an inductee into the De La Salle Hall of Fame as well. Please give a warm Ready New Orleans Sports Foundation Quarterback Club welcome to Fletcher Mackel. Fletcher?
Should there be like walk-up music?
Yeah, there should be, man. Something like that, right? So, it's all good. Now we're going to let the other two guys say a couple of words before they actually participate in this too, and then we'll have a special speaker as well on something very big happening in New Orleans right now. But we want to tell you about a gentleman that was a very special player at Louisiana State University. Played on their defensive line from 1984 through 1987. Served as a permanent team captain for the Tigers. He spent time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. And of course, he was a star at Brother Martin High School, where he's had about, 20 sons or something like that play there. And one's still playing there, doing a great job. He's a great friend of ours, and it's great to have him with us today. He's also the father of a starting offensive lineman at LSU right now. Please give a warm welcome to Tommy Clapp. Tommy, come on up. And he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2010, was an inaugural inductee into the Saints Ring of Honor. He was previously inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame, the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, the Greater New Orleans Sports Hall of Fame. He's the all-time leader in sacks in New Orleans Saints history, a 6-time Pro Bowl participant, 4-time All-Pro in his 13 seasons with the Saints. He's the host of Sports NOLA TV, Monday nights at 6 p.m. on WHNO TV 20. Please give a very warm welcome to Ricky Jackson. Ricky. As Ricky makes his way up, I'll introduce our next speaker because this is something that you'll want to know about. It's obviously something that's going to be terrific for our entire metropolitan area, because when you talk about what's going on right now in New Orleans, there are a lot of things that are good, and this is one of those. He serves as the Director of Public and Governmental Affairs for the Bayou District Foundation, and he's worked with the 4 Kids Foundation and the Zurich Classic, and serves on the Archbishop's Community Appeal Executive Board, and the New Orleans Police Department's PCAB Committee, and the Metropolitan Crime Commission Board of Directors. And here to tell you about a significant development and its progress that's going on in City Park right now today, and to show you that progress as well, please give a warm welcome, as we introduce to share with you, Mr. J.T. Hannan. J.T.? So these guys are in place. I'm going to start with JT because he has something special. The guys are looking at that. Ricky's looking at it particularly because Ricky likes golf a little bit, actually a lot. So with that, JT, it's great to have you with us. And obviously a lot of people are piqued by what's transpiring in City Park right now with regard to a championship golf course. So we're going to draw everyone's attention to the big screen as we have a chance to see part of what's transpiring. JT, tell us all about it.
Thanks, Kenny. I guess I'll start with the where we are right now. You can bring the next slide up. The golf course is a new championship golf course laid out on the footprint of the old East course north of Harrison, and the entirety of the 13 holes of the old West golf course. So the routing basically follows the old East, leaving the Clubhouse going down Wisner, and then looping back to the footprint of the old clubhouse, which is actually the footprint of the new clubhouse. And then the back nine is the old back nine of the west golf course in reverse. And so what we've tried to do is, through that routing, retain all of the old 100-year-old oak trees that populate the property, and also the lagoons that have so much wildlife and beauty to them. And so the golf course is a birth from a true partnership. City Park obviously was flooded tremendously in Hurricane Katrina, and they partnered with the state of Louisiana to put up $15 million to build the actual golf course. And so that process has been underway since last February. Currently the golf course is about 90% completed. The only things that need to be done from an agronomy standpoint is the construction of the bunkers on the final 4 or 5 holes in the back nine. If you drive down Wisner or drive down Harrison, you can see what's emerged, and it's a beautiful, beautiful facility. Bayou District's part of the partnership is a $9 million philanthropic donation to the park. And our responsibility is to build the clubhouse, the maintenance facility, refurbish the driving range, and then some ancillary things like potentially a new parking lot and some new landscaping. So all those things are underway with the expected completion date of next spring being the time when all those things will come online. So we go to the next slide. A little summary of the course. The total project cost is $24 million. The course will stretch up nearly to 7,400 yards from the back tees. There's 5 sets of tees, so it will play for all ability levels. So, you know, the middle tees will be 6,300, the back tees will be 74, the front tees will be 58. There's no forced carries from the middle tees, so it's definitely a course that's designed for the public in mind. You can bounce the ball into each green from the middle tees, but the course will be exceptionally challenging from the rear tees, as you might imagine. And then these are all factors that it's a total refurbishment of the entire facility. Next slide. Just to reiterate some of the points about the partnership agreement, it really has been a true partnership. The park, I think, took a huge leap in terms of not wanting to just restore what was there, but really create something that could last for the next 100 years. And I think they should be really commended for that. And we are striving to really create a product that's going to be among the tops in the country with this facility. A lot of folks have asked me, why does Bayou District want to contribute money to this? Well, everything is based on the East Lake model in Atlanta, Georgia. They just played the Tour Championship there, and East Lake takes a portion of the revenue from the golf tournament and the golf club there and puts it back into their nonprofit. So in a way, golf directly subsidizes and helps the most at-risk kids in the city of Atlanta. We're hoping to do the same here with the city of New Orleans, in that through our Educare facility, which is on St. Bernard Avenue, and also at Columbia Park, which is the former St. Bernard housing development, also on St. Bernard Avenue. Next slide. This is a slide that just basically shows how that partnership works. You can see that we're really trying to expand junior golf, definitely into the 70122 zip code and also 70124. We've got a great partnership with First Tee, and are trying to build junior golf back up to where it was when Fletcher's dad was running the facility. He had 500 children in the junior golf program there. So that's definitely a goal to restore that, the golf complex to that level of capacity. Next slide. So rendering the new clubhouse, it's going to be on the footprint of the old clubhouse, as I mentioned. And it'll be a little bit raised, and it will have a full bar, full dining options. So if you spend any time out in kind of that northern area of Gentilly, there's not a ton of dining options. So we think that it's going to get a lot of use from the surrounding neighborhood. And that's really to make it a facility that is a neighborhood type venue. Next slide. And that's under construction. That was taken from that's the practice putting green, everything that you see in the sand. So If you remember the former practice putting green, it was about maybe 1/8 of that size. So we're trying to really expand in many areas in terms of enhancing the golf experience there. Next slide. This is driving range plans. Hopefully we'll get this started in January, but the driving range is massive. I'm not sure if you've been out there lately, but it's a huge facility. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is build new grass teeing areas, repair the turf that's existing out there, enhance drainage. If there's a big storm right now, the drain range is unusable for a day or two. New targets, new safety features to try and build up the separation between the hitting range stalls so that there's a little less interplay between players. And then also enhancing the North Course or driving range clubhouse so that it too has dining and is an option for kind of a sandwich and hot dog type snack. So this is, to me, very cool. This is kind of what we were given. The city park property really hadn't been touched since Katrina and had fallen into a bit of disrepair just prior. So it was tremendously overgrown, but the Reese Jones and our consultants from the PGA Tour have really worked to create, I think, a fantastic golf facility. So this is your opening tee shot, number 1 hole. It's a par 4 with a slight dog-leg left, and you can see how we took advantage of the existing oaks and the existing trees. And there's a lagoon kind of on the top right, so it's a challenging par 4 right out of the gate, but I like that opening tee shot because it really features a lot of the aspects of the park. Next slide. It's number 7. It's a short par 3. It's roughly where number 6 of the old West Course was. But you can see tremendous overgrowing, and one of the things that we did in partnership with our agronomists and the maintenance staff out there is remove a lot of the underbrush. A lot of the trees that were surrounding the lagoons were these tallow trees that were really choking off wildlife and vegetation from thriving out there. As a result of that clearing, the trees have never looked better. So we've got a much healthier park facility when it comes to the golf course. And you can be standing at a tee like this and not hear any traffic, not hear anything going on, but yet you're 5 minutes from downtown New Orleans. So it's extremely beautiful, and I think will be a very attractive facility. Number 9, I think the strength of the golf course personally are the par 5s. This is a 622-yard par 5 from the rear tees, and this is marching back toward the clubhouse, but you can see again the overgrowth and how choked it was with weeds and overgrowth, and just really removed a lot of that so that we can let the trees and the aquatic life thrive. And this is 14. Again, you can see how we trim the trees up just a touch so that it allows for a smoother transition. And this is a long par 3 on the backside, number 14. And it was kind of cool. Reese Jones was on site to do one of his many walkthroughs, and he was talking about how for the top players, it's hard to see a shot that's well struck just roll into a hazard. So he personally got up and directed a bulldozer to flatten out the area in front of that green, so it's a little bit more accepting of a shot. So it's kind of cool to see an on-demand bulldozer. And this is some of the reaction we've gotten thus far. And, local PGA of America Chief Executive Officer Tom Cousins that founded Eastlake. There's just a real excitement about the project in the golf world, both locally and nationally. I think bringing an outstanding public golf course venue back to the city of New Orleans is something that's long overdue, and I think it will help the city in many ways. As we've seen in trying to recruit Super Bowls and special events here, you have to have just facilities and additional bells and whistles to kind of attract some of those big events, and I think the park will play a big role in that. So with that, any questions?
Yeah. First question would be, when is it going to be complete? What's the estimated time at this point?
Right, we had some few hang-ups with the permitting on the maintenance facility and a few other things, but the inclination is to get everything constructed and then open, ready to go, putting our best foot forward from the start date. And that's anticipated. Again, we're also depending on the agronomy, how the grass grows out there. So we anticipate to open next spring.
Secondly, who's the designer of the course? I know that's always important when it comes to golf.
It is. Reese Jones is the designer of the golf course. He had input from a variety of folks on the PGA Tour, both the TPC network and several of the players. But Reese Jones is riding a hot streak. He is inarguably one of the top 5 designers in the world, and 3 of the last 5 big events played on the PGA Tour were the Barclays, which was played at Bethpage State Park, which has hosted numerous U.S. Opens, East Lake, which was a tour championship, that's a Reese Jones design, and then the Ryder Cup, which is a Hazeltine National, which Reese redid about 10 years ago.
Finally, the billion-dollar question. I don't even have to ask it, do I?
What are you going to ask me? I assume you're asking, has there been any discussions about the tournament moving?
Yep.
And that really is not part of Bayou District's purview. That decision is one that the title sponsor, the PGA Tour, the 4Kids Foundation, it's really their task to tackle. I can tell you that the golf course is built to championship specifications. So it's my dream, and I get harassed by some of my superiors for saying this, but I'd like to have a major championship at City Park. I'd like to have a Ryder Cup at City Park. There hasn't been a U.S. Open played south of Atlanta since 1976. I think that would be a great fit for the park one day. These decisions are made well in advance, and there's a lot of competition for these type of events, but New Orleans to me would be an exceptional host of a major championship or a World Golf Championship or something of that nature.
Time for 1 or 2 more quick questions. Yes, ma'am? Question is, will the Bayou District work with schools?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we're really trying to expand golf, and this has been a priority for the school board as well. But introducing golf to the public school system and provide a place to practice for golf teams from all across the region. The young lady's question was McDonough 35 just reopened last August by Columbia Park, and is right on the bayou, and I know that several of their students have been practicing at the new driving range, and so that's something that we're encouraging and trying to build on.
Time for 1 more. Anyone over here?
Yes. I don't play golf, but my understanding that with the facility of that, John Q. Public is going to be able to go in there and have lunch or dinner.
That's right, yeah.
In Clubhouse.
It's modeled on the Audubon type clubhouse where you can walk in and just have lunch. And it is, at its core, a public golf course. And it's designed that way. It's accessible to folks of all abilities. We want people to come out and play. I think it's going to be a tremendous asset to the city. And I think you all will be very proud of the effort that was undertaken by your public officials and the folks involved in it to make it happen.
What do you anticipate the green fee to be?
That is kind of a moving target in terms of, I think it'll be very reasonable for Louisiana residents, but it hasn't been set quite yet. I think that there will be, just as like if I went and played Torrey Pines in San Diego, because I'm out of state, I would play a higher fee. It will be some similar arrangement to that at City Park.
Ladies and gentlemen, JT Hannan, please give a round of applause.
Thank you.